Welcome, friends, to the Play Guitar Podcast. I am Lee, here to help you become the guitar player that you always wanted to be. This is the audio podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is just the video version of that. There's going to be a little bit more talking than you would think in a regular YouTube video. If you are interested in the lesson and not more about the explanation, go ahead and click the link above that will take you straight to this week's really good lesson. I'm using my whammy bar, the tremolo on my guitar. I don't usually talk about this very often. Been talking about these things since 2018, and I don't know if I've ever really done too much. I think I talked about how much I wasn't able to use the tremolo bar because it never worked on my guitars. Well, thanks to the Wilkinson tremolos that I have on two of my guitars, that is cured. I use it all the time now, and especially live when I go and play out on these blues jams on Wednesday nights over at the Friar Tuck. And this week I stumbled onto something pretty special. I was here in the studio. I was just writing a song, had an idea. And it was, half of it we did last week and the other half we're doing this week. It's a pretty cool song. And I was just playing around with the melody. I wasn't sure if this part was going to be a solo or was going to be a melody. And I started working on phrasing, and something unexpected happened. I played using the whammy bar for the melody, and it made me say, whoa, that's different. That sounded like something. It was slow, but it kept interest. Usually when I just play regular slow songs, I think, well, I need something different to make this a little bit more interesting. But this didn't need it. It wasn't fast or flashy, but it had feel, and it made me think of Jeff Beck. Now, I normally play with the pick. Jeff Beck usually plays with, or did play with, his fingers, right? But so it's not going to sound just like him. I never would be able to sound just like him, but it reminded me of his playing, and it got me thinking, what makes Jeff Beck's style of playing so powerful? You'd think he doesn't use a pick. He's detuning notes all of the time. What is it about? Why is it so compelling? Why is it something that I love to listen to and to try to play like? And why is it so hard to do? It doesn't look like he's doing much, but man, what comes out is amazing. And that got me thinking about a few things. Taste, right? The solo I did today, I just was noodling around in the beginning of this thing. That was not the solo. It's from the lesson video. But it wasn't planned. I didn't have any plans for it at all. I just started playing, and that's what came out. I was just writing this lesson thing. And this had these chords, the chords for this one, E to C sharp minor, A to G sharp dominant seventh. I thought, what cool. What an interesting chord progression. It feels like it resolves, but then sometimes it doesn't really feel like it does. It's very cool. But what I was trying to do was match the vibe of this. I was trying to get a vocal, emotional vibe to it. And so I was thinking, hey, what could I play that some of my students would go, hey, I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. And then I realized it wasn't all about the licks that I was trying to do. It was about taste. Taste is harder than technique. So why is his playing so tasteful? It's very easily to not do it. And that's one of the things that I was working on in the lesson today. How much? Do a little too much, and it can easily go over the top with this thing. So how does he play all of this, sliding into pitches, going above pitches? Let's talk a little bit about my tremolo, by the way. I have mine set up floating. So if you have a tremolo that's decked, right? That's sitting straight on the body of the guitar. That means it won't pull back. It only goes down. This is floating. I can go up or down. And it's different per string. So you have to keep that in mind when you do this. So the high E string, that goes up. If I pull up on the bar, it doesn't quite make it to a fret above. There's the minor second. It doesn't quite do that. So it's better for, on the high E string, it's better for kind of a vibrato, something that's not wide that goes all the way to a note. It's not going to go all the way up to a note. But when you go to the B string, it will. It goes up on the B string. When I pull all the way back on the bar, it will give me, this is a B note. There's a C. I can get that C easily. So now when I'm playing notes on the B string, I can look for half steps in my scales. So this is C sharp minor. On the B string, between the 9th and the 10th fret, we have our little half step there. This goes from the G sharp to the A. I could, instead of going hammering on to that note or detuning and coming up into it, I can play the 9th fret and pull my bar all the way back, and it gives me that half step. And you can do it, different ways. Some people will do that with the bar, where they'll let the bar kind of bounce when they pull back. That's pretty cool. But this isn't, most of what I did in that lesson was starting under the note and going up into a strong note. So tension and release. But this, on the B string, we have a second note that we can get just from pulling back on this. Now on the G string, let's go to the 12th fret. When I pull back the same bar on the G string, I get a major second, 2 frets. So I can go half step or whole step. So I can do both of them depending on how far. If I pull the bar all the way back, I'm pretty close to that major second. And if I go halfway, those are cool. Let's go to the D string. There it is. D string, half step. But when I go to the A string, let's go to the 12th fret on the A string. It's kind of close. It's getting closer to that whole step for this one again. When I pull back, it's a little bit in between half step and whole step up from that note. Doesn't quite make it up to the major second. And now on the low string, on the low E string, it will do the whole step bend up there. So isn't that interesting? The high E string doesn't make it all the way to 1 fret. The B string does go to 1 fret. The G string goes to 2 frets. The D string goes back to just 1 fret. The A string goes up to 2 frets, and then the E string goes to 2 frets as well too. You have to keep that in mind when you're pulling up on the bar. What note are you going to? I think Jeff Beck, he had his bridge angled a little bit farther, which means that he could pull it back farther. And when you do that, what ends up happening is you can get, I think he had like a distance of a minor third. He could get some really wide intervals from pulling back on the bar too. And what about his effects? Now I'm just using a kind of, what am I using? I'm using a the Boss IR200. The speaker cabinet, the IR is a Marshall basket weave type thing. What is it? It is, it's a basket weave Studio G12M2, right? So it's a Marshall type cabinet, and I'm using on the Line 6 HX effects, the compulsive drive. It's like an OCD. That's what's the main distortion. Then I have a tube screamer, Scream 808, behind it to push it, and a delay pedal after both of those. So it's kind of, I'm a big fan of the Andy Timmons Sgt. Pepper album. So that's kind of what I started with this. Didn't get the same tone that he does by any means, but that's the idea of like that he's got that Marshall with just pans, delays, all sorts of great stuff. But this was kind of my my 2-minute set up to do something in that vein. When I saw in concert, he would use like a twin or something like that. Just crank it wide open to give that sustain. He could use even clean sounds, would have tons of sustain because he was in control of it all from his guitar. That amp could be wide open. He might only be playing on 2 or 3, but just enough to get that sound, getting the pickups moving is what I call it. So it's kind of getting the strings vibrating. You get almost like a feedback in there where the strings take on a life of their own. And so he might only go up to 3 or 4, but get something that, even though it was clean sounding, had tons of sustain, which you need if you're doing a lot of tremolo bar tricks. He also, and this is why I have my DSL 50 JCM 2000 Marshall, used that for a long time. And then this is something where he had set up with tons of gain, right? And even with pedals in front of it, and then roll back on his volume knob and tone controls. And someone told me that he would take all the bass out of an amp, just turn bass all the way off. I don't know that that's true or not, because I've seen some of his DSL 50. Someone shared his settings on it and didn't have the bass all the way rolled off. But so that's a rumor there. But he controlled everything with his guitar, with his pickup selector, mostly on bridge. Got to roll some of that off, and with the whammy bar and having the amp set up, just screaming, even though he didn't use it screaming too much. He had that there if he wanted to, which makes sense because he was a car guy. He loved working on his cars, hot rods, right? His guitar had a ton of power. If he did everything wide open like most people do, it would be too much. He didn't use his sounds that way. He had control over everything. It wasn't about the tricks. It was about restraint, holding back and just letting a little bit out. He could say more with just this. So if you were to play that without using the bar, just sounds like a pentatonic scale, but using these small vocal inflections. And that is the thing that with my coaching students, I say more often than not. Well, what would the voice do? We do a little thing in coaching where I take away most of the guitar. I give them a limit of where they could play a few, do a solo just using these few notes or just one little area here or something like that. And 9 times out of 10, it comes off vocally. What are things that the voice does? The voice growls into notes. The voice swoops up into notes. The voice has vibrato. Most of these are dealing with pitch, right? So it's not about what pitch you choose when you limit yourself. It's what you do with that pitch when you play. How does that pitch sound? He could play one note, and has almost a rhythm in the pitch. Wide intervals going underneath the note and swooping up into it. It's all vocal stuff. He must have loved to listen to singers because it's in his playing so much. He said more with one note. And I know it's kind of a cliche, but it's true. He said more with one note than probably anyone else could with a million notes. So as I'm doing this, I'm thinking it might not just be trying to play like Jeff Beck that's going to help me the most. It's going to be, what about thinking more like him? What was his process, right? What if I left more space? What if every note that I played told a story? Every bend that I did, every inflection had an emotion behind it. How many notes do I play that I just burn through it and I'm leaving good music on the table by not paying attention to how that note is presented? What if this guitar was a voice? Not just some strings with a bunch of springs connected to it, right? It's very hard. It's very hard to be simple because the biggest problem is intention, right? You meant to do that. If you play with this thing, you're not sure if it's going in tune or not. You're not sure if it's kicking your whole guitar out of tune. You're not sure where you're going with this. That communicates. to people. Listeners can hear that. They go, oh, I'm not so sure about this. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm hearing, but I'm noticing something. I always say with students, what if you're getting on the plane and your pilot, the pilot's there when you walk in and he smiles at everybody and he says, hey, how you doing? And what if he had he had a margarita in his hand or something like that right before you're getting ready to fly? You wouldn't have confidence in that, right? We need to have confidence and show confidence in our playing. And that means intention. I intended to do this. That's the kind of challenge, though, that I want for myself. And I'm glad I'm sharing that with you today. Maybe it would help you with some of the things that you're working on, right? I want to pass this along to you. This is where I am right now. I could do a solo and it would sound just like all the other things that I've ever done, or I could try to push myself a little bit and get to a place I've never been before. And so this is Jeff just accidentally starting a solo and just kind of reminding me of his playing. Then I went deeper and I go, so what does he do? I listened to the Ronnie Scott's live video. I think it was an album too, but I saw it on YouTube live and really listen to what each note did. And why does that speak to me so much? And some people don't like Jeff Beck. Maybe they don't like that style where each note speaks to you. Maybe they like a little bit more flowing sound too. So, I'm not saying that this is the best for everyone. It's just where I'm at right now. And I just kind of wanted to pass that on to you. If you feel like your solos are too much, or maybe they're not enough, you're in a good place. Maybe we're all chasing the wrong thing sometimes. Maybe we should chase more meaning. I guess this whammy bar has allowed me to put a little bit more meaning into my solos. And I wanted to pass that along to you. This week's lesson is all about that. It was called Bend It Like Jeff Beck. It's 8 bars. It was one emotion. It almost sounded like it was crying, the thing I did yesterday, with the bar included on that. So I always have something free for you to get started. If you're just new to hanging out with us, if you're a lead guitar player or want to be a lead guitar player, I have my blues solo breakthrough. This is 6 lessons that will unlock your phrasing and your blues voice. And you can go to the link in the description of this episode. And I'm going to call it. That's a wrap. Thanks for joining me today for the Play Guitar Podcast. And if this helped you, please subscribe or follow so you don't miss the next one. If you know a guitar player who could use this, give it a share. That would really help us right now. Maybe to your favorite guitar group. I've got a guitar group if you like. It's in the description below. And thanks again. I will see you in the next episode.